Hey, listeners, before we get to today's podcast, I just want to thank our sponsors who make this podcast possible. First off, we have Tiny & Sons Glass. Does your vehicle have cameras or driver's assist? If so, when your windshield is replaced, it will need to be recalibrated. What is recalibration? When your vehicle's windshield is replaced, the safety systems need to then be tested to ensure that they work with your new windshield. Some vehicles require static recalibration, and others require a dynamic recalibration. Not sure who to trust to take care of this recalibration for you? Well, just call Tiny & Sons Glass in Pembroke, Mass. They are experts in auto glass and registered company of the Auto Glass Safety Council. Plus, they make it easy. They will call your insurance company for you. Get your windshield replaced by their highly trained auto glass technicians. And get your vehicle recalibrated so you can be back on the road. Tiny & Sons Glass, keeping you and your family safe. And our second sponsor today is Baxter Blue. Do you experience digital eye strain from too much blue light exposure from digital screens? Baxter Blue glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of the glare. The past year, we've all been glued to our devices more than ever. And here at Inebri-art, we're making more content. We have some video content. We're doing a lot of audio stuff, live streaming, which all means I'm sitting in front of the computer. Pretty much any time I'm awake, I am in front of the computer, eyes glued to the screen. Our exposure to digital light has soared, and our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses for someone in need for every pair sold. This is eyewear built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off the next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids glasses. Click on the link in our show notes for an exclusive discount. This is the sign you have been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you'll love your Baxters, and we know that you will feel the difference. So thanks again for our sponsors for sponsoring the show, and now let's jump right into the podcast.
Cross the line, let go of stream. I've been in Tampa Bay, around the horn, and home again, 'cause that is the sailor's way.
Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. I am Andy, your host, and I am joined today by our producer slash editor slash finger guns aficionado, Fish.
Yellow.
And our local historian, Hanna.
Hello.
And so just as a quick reminder, because we touched on it in the last episode, and I just want to remind people, we have merch. So we have a...
Get your merch, yeah?
Yeah, get your stuff here, kid.
Get your merch, yeah?
And so we have a beanie slash toboggan slash knit hat, whatever you want to call it, that says Old Colony Cast. We have an orange slash gray trucker hat that says Old Colony Cast. We have 3/4 sleeve baseball style t-shirts, all
Those are pretty
available.
cool.
They are pretty sweet on the Inebri-art website, inebri-art. Go to the shop section and you can order stuff there. If you don't see it there, it should be there by the time we're going to do this.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
It's going to be like late
It's
May.
there, guys. Don't worry
Or
about
June.
it.
It's going to be June.
And if it's not there, it's totally Hannah's fault.
Sorry.
DM us on our Facebook page so you can get some cool merch to be the only kid in Nepal with an Old Colony Cast t-shirt or hat and be the cool kid in town. So we're just going to jump into today's topic. Hanna, what are we talking about today? I feel like it's murder.
It is. We're going to be talking about Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So multiple murders.
Yes,
Yes.
many dead bodies.
So Aaron Hernandez caught a football for a living?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. And I saw a Netflix documentary about him. Thanks for listening. That's all I know.
I watched that one too. It's actually pretty good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
When
did you watch it? Recently?
I watched it when it came out.
Okay,
I'm not
it's been out for a
yeah,
while,
it's been out
yeah.
for a little while. I'm not a sports fan. But you could not escape the brouhaha around his arrest and suicide. So even not being a football fan, I was just interested, and
Yeah.
I watched it, and it was, I mean, just kind of tragic all around.
Yeah.
You know, he did not have a happy life.
No, he didn't. And you're the sports guy, right? You football guy?
I was at the time.
You were at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know
So he
what
caught the football.
You know what
Yes.
position he was?
He was the tight end.
Yes, he was.
He caught the
Ding,
football.
ding, ding. He
Yes, he was most.
Someone
he most,
threw the brown thing to him, and he
He
ran.
caught the brown thing.
Yeah.
Yes, except sometimes they handed him the brown thing because he was really, really good at football.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
And then he
good at it.
ran with the brown thing
Yes,
across the white line.
lots of white lines, but yes,
Several white lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So he was with the New England Patriots from 2010 to 2012.
Okay.
Not a long career.
No.
But he was born 1986, November 6th. I don't know why.
1986, November 6th? You mean November 6th, 1986?
Do you want to try your third take?
Yes, please.
Okay.
He was born November 6th, 1989.
Sorry, hang on. I'm going to let that fly.
Oh my God. I was like, what am I saying that's wrong?
I think the best thing is you got the wrong year too.
1986.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. Back at it.
All right, let's try that again.
So, Aaron Hernandez
Was born on a day.
November 6th, 1989.
Okay.
So when this was all happening, I worked in Dorchester.
Okay.
And what around the time is when the first murders
Yeah.
happened. And I didn't know. I was like the same age as him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just thought that was wild. I was
Which
like,
one
what?
of you have
He's
committed more murder?
definitely him.
Your Honor.
I don't know if that's true. We'll see.
So he's from Bristol, Connecticut, and he's the son of Dennis and Terry Hernandez. So his upbringing would be remarked as like less than perfect, as you know from the documentary. I almost said Netflix trailer.
Same thing.
Yeah, whatever, right?
There's a trailer before the documentary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you could probably get that from there. It's
Yeah.
pretty open about it. His parents had a tumultuous relationship and off and on struggles. They, at one point, separated, divorced, and remarried. They had a lot of struggles with like finances. His dad was upsetting to hear about, just in the least. He was
Yeah,
very,
it was.
very-
It was. He was not.
just not kind.
He was not woke,
No,
as they would say.
unkind, very like physically abusive, verbally abusive. They were pretty like unaccepting
Yeah.
of everyone else, pretty much. They're very homophobic.
Yeah, which did not bode well for him.
No. And I think that's like, we'll get into that, but let's just talk more about his father. So his father was like the one who pushed him to be good at sports, both him and his brother. His brother was his brother a professional football, ended up being a professional football player?
I don't think so,
too?
no.
Semi-pro?
I think.
Yeah,
I don't
he
think he
was-
even went full.
he
I
was-
don't think he made the NFL.
He was definitely semi-pro. He
Yeah.
played sports his whole life. He's a little bit older than Aaron, and then Aaron also like excelled in every single sport he ever played. He ran track. He did basketball. He literally did everything, and he was not like a goody two shoes kind of kid by any means.
Bit of a troublemaker.
Not necessarily like a troublemaker when he was younger, but just like he smoked a lot of weed, like just kind of partied.
He's a teenager.
Yeah, teenager
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. He wasn't like a straight A student sitting in class and like doing what he was supposed to. He got away. It sounds like he got away with stuff.
I was gonna
'cause of
say, so
sports.
this isn't judgment, but
No.
like, what football player is the straight A student?
That's
You
what
know?
I mean.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
didn't sound like he was too aggressive in high school. Seemed like he got along with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna assume since his dad was very openly homophobic, this is something he probably carried in high school
Yeah.
as well. And I think that was like jock culture.
Sure,
probably
especially
still
then.
is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, his dad ended up dying in 2006 from hernia surgery, just a complication.
That's a weird
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
unexpected.
Yeah.
And from there, Aaron was living with his mother for a little bit, but decided to go live with his cousin. And then they found out that his mom had been having an affair with his cousin's husband.
Now, if I remember correctly, he was very close with that cousin, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to like piece this back from when I did watch it, and that she was like very much, I don't want to say involved, but like in the murder investigation, she was a prominent figure.
Yeah, she was. And they were very close and different life from what he had led because his dad was like so strict.
Yeah.
And then going to live with his cousin, way more laid back, just like getting to chill out and vibe and do more of
Do
what
you,
he-
man.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
you, man. And he like hated his mom. Like after that, he was like so mad at her. I think they like got into a fight. Like I feel like I remember like something physical happened.
altercation.
Yeah, and he was like never the same after his dad died. There were different claims of sexual abuse. His brother said that there was one time a babysitter like sexually abused Aaron as a very, very young child. And just like among other upsetting things, like he would go into school with like black eyes from his dad when his dad was alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he didn't have like a great life. No excuse
Yeah.
for what ended up happening.
I mean, and that's always the there may be a reason, but it's not an excuse.
Right. And then I know the Netflix documentary really laid heavily on, and not anything I knew at the time of this happening was his like unspoken sexual
Orientation
Yeah.
of at the very least being bi.
Yeah.
And if your dad is crazy homophobic, I can see how that is a struggle
Yes.
for you to parse out and make
And
work in your life. I
Yeah.
suppose. It's not.
I can see too, like at the time, we'll get into like the court bringing that up or not bringing it up, but just as like someone who didn't, if it's true, because like his friend is in it, and
Yep.
his friend is like, yeah, we used to like hook up.
Hook
like,
up. Yeah. Like his high school.
Very
friend,
like
yeah.
a best friend, and it's like one of those things where I'm like, he's no longer alive to ever come out on his own.
That's
And that's always like bothers me a little bit about it.
because it's kind of forcing someone out. I mean, so much about sexuality is about consent,
Yeah.
and this is forcing someone out without their consent, and kind of you're painting them in the light that you want to paint them in, less of them being like, this is really how I am.
Right. Right.
So was he gay and closeted, or was he bi? We'll never know.
Yeah. And
That's something only he can
Right.
speak to.
I know. And it's like one of those things too, like he had his girlfriend, he'd been with her since middle school. Like,
Yeah. And they had like a kid together,
Yeah.
and it's like, so
She spoke out about it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Doesn't believe it, but it's one of those things. It's like one of the only moments not one of the only moments. You never want to like feel like have that feeling of empathy for someone who goes and does really, really awful things. But like I did in that moment, I was like, oh, I feel weird. Like I feel yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling empathy towards someone being like their life was effed up and it led them down a very bad path.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at the same point, it's a reason, not an excuse.
Yeah.
At any point, you can opt out and turn your life around.
Right.
Yeah. So it's okay. I think it's okay to feel empathy and be like,
Right.
you
Is
had
that
a
right?
horrible. Yeah, I think I'm on your side.
Yeah.
He had a horrible childhood, and it probably led him down a very bad path. But I think there was other. Again, I'm not trying to jump ahead.
Yeah,
in your
no, you're
notes,
good.
But that's what I do. There
right
was a
on
lot
track.
of talk about his concussions and how much that had to do with it too.
Yeah, that's later.
Yeah.
So his
I said I jump ahead. That's
yeah,
what
what
I
the
do.
hell? I was like, no, you were doing good.
You're doing
Yeah.
good. No.
Too far.
And then he.
Yeah, Andy's not a fan of the linear progression of time.
Yeah. Who is?
Yeah.
Me.
All right.
I'm a big fan.
Most of physics.
He was so not only a star athlete in high school, but in college too. So he went to he played for the Florida Gators, and he continued through college until like his junior year, but did not go his senior year and went into the draft.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Right.
Yeah, he was a draft eligible junior. In the NFL, you can get drafted after 3 years of school.
And
Yeah.
I guess the people who were like, some people he met in college, his coaches were like, I don't know, some people pushed him and some people were like, no, he's not like emotionally mature enough. He still has issues with like using drugs. They say drugs loosely. I think he was very open and honest about the fact that he just smoked weed all the time. Like
Right.
he'd go to practice high, he was just high all the time. He's just one of those stoners.
And there are those people that
Yeah,
can
literally.
do that and function.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not one of those people.
No, no way. And so in 2010, Hernandez was the 113th draft pick. Did I say that correctly?
Yep.
Okay. And
I feel like he was really pretty good for 113th pick.
Well, yeah.
in the third round,
I think it was the fourth.
fourth round.
I want to say fourth.
Wow.
I don't know what that means.
Okay,
do.
so in the NFL draft,
we don't need a description
No,
of that.
I'll take a breakdown.
every team. So basically,
I'm
there are
gonna take a nap
32
now.
teams. Every team gets one pick per round. So at the end of the round,
Okay.
like the 33rd pick is the first pick of the second round, and so on.
So
And it matters for stuff like contracts and
yeah. So
such.
he was able to enter the draft early too. So he did like the draft
eligibles.
school. Like what is it? Like the competition?
Combine.
Thank you. Yeah. He did that. And
he did that.
he did. And he did pretty well there. And like I said, there was just like concerns about his behavior related to drugs and partying and just being whatever. But I don't know why I put this here, but I'm going to say it here. Probably would have been a better cap off, but it doesn't matter. So in his NFL career, 175 receptions, 1,956 receiving yards. I think is a lot.
Sounds pretty good.
In 2 years, barely 2 years.
Said 10 to I think it was 3.
2010
He only
to
played for 3 years?
2012.
Yeah, 10, 11, and 12. Each year is a season.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. 11.2 receiving average
Wow.
and 18 touchdowns and one in a Super
Wow.
Bowl. I know he got one in a Super Bowl.
I don't really.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't sitting at the microphones, because
Pretending to know sports.
I'm the only one
things.
here who's ever been a football fan, apparently. It is tough to explain how incredibly freakishly athletic Aaron Hernandez was. He got drafted the same year as Rob Gronkowski,
Yeah, they were buddies.
Yeah.
and basically the two of them became
Tight end
almost
pals.
immediately the best two tight ends in football. It was Gronk, who is just an absolute freak, and Hernandez, who was basically an oversized wide receiver. He's faster than any
I
other
don't
tight
know
end
what
out
that
there.
means.
He
He caught the ball a lot.
You're not helping, Andy. Like, I know you don't care, but I'm trying to explain to the listeners.
I just don't know.
I know. But basically, his job was to get out there and catch the ball, and he was too big for any of the cornerbacks to catch him, and he was too fast for anyone else to get in his way. So
Cool.
basically,
Wow.
he was he was a complete mismatch freak. That's why he did so well.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, it is. I
You know-
just don't understand.
So, I forgot he was drafted by the Patriots, obviously.
Okay.
That's
Which
how
is
we
why
know.
we're talking about him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And him getting picked by the Patriots for the NFL was like not his demise, but it led to
No, it absolutely didn't help.
it did not help.
No.
So this kept him at home.
Right.
Like
so
he-
it's one of those like if you're going to sober up or stop smoking or whatever, the worst thing for you is your friends that do that thing that kind of keeps you in that cycle.
Yeah. So
So he was local.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So everyone on the team, like they got along. He was always like described like in, moments of like, out playing a game or whatever, practice, like just a goofball, like funny guy, nice guy, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was like when he was able to go out and start going to like clubs, whatever, that's when like that reputation of his just switch started. So
Yeah.
like there'd be moments when he's out partying and like just getting really angry with people, like thinking people are giving him like looks and like starting fights with people.
And if my memory serves, again, it's been a while, that's kind of like when the documentary switched to being like, he had a lot of concussions and...
No, they actually didn't like mention that until the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while since
It was like that was like the end of the.
But it was kind of
documentary.
like that was
Maybe what they were hinting
right.
at.
Kind of like that's indicative of someone who's had head injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also when he started hanging out with like shadier characters.
Not us. Other shady characters.
What?
Not us.
No,
Other shady
he
characters.
did. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, not you.
No, we were actually quite well
What do
lit.
you mean not me?
You didn't.
I'm not the one who likes murder, Hannah.
No, you. I meant you didn't hang out with shady characters.
I meant you were a shady character.
Oh, okay, gotcha. He had just going through like from 2010 to 2012, just several incidences with the police. Not like with the police, but it was fights, arguments, whatever, things happening out while he was out partying.
Trouble.
That ended with police intervention. In 2012, July 16th, 2 men from Dorchester, Daniel Correa de Abreu, he was 29, and Sofia Teixeira Furtado, he was 28, and they were found dead outside of the Cure Lounge in the Boston South End in their car, or one of them's car.
Yeah.
And they were like, I'm like, oh my God, they were so young. They were originally from Cape Verde, and they moved to Boston when they were younger with their families. Like they just like their whole family was there. That was the part in the documentary that stood out a lot because their whole family went to their court case and filled the courtroom.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And witnesses say that they saw Hernandez pull up, yelling racial slurs at them, and said that there were 5 shots fired from Hernandez's car. And I think he was with someone else too.
Oh, right. Okay. I remember this part.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is like that murder, though.
And so
which
it's
takes
kinda-
a while to loop back to in the
And
courtroom.
if I remember, the defense was kind of like, oh, there were shots fired from the car, but you can't prove that Aaron fired those shots.
So Hernandez was
which is pretty weak.
Yeah, Hernandez was identified. No, I'm just doing this like in the time that it happened.
Right.
So that murder happened. Those murders happened first, and Hernandez was identified from security cameras outside the club. You could see him leaving, and he was like happy when he was leaving.
Yeah.
He was like joking around, smiling, and then.
But that's kind of like in reference to that switch.
Yeah, and then, but they say that he left the club and was mad at those guys because they like spilt a drink on him. So he had already had a confrontation with them in there, and then when they left, they think maybe he saw him and it
Re-triggered it
or
or
something. And he was with his friend Alexander Bradley,
Okay.
who was one of the seedy characters.
Which sounds like a Civil War general.
This guy actually like,
Alexander Bradley?
I mean, he, he was. I'll get to him.
All right,
Don't worry
all
about
right,
it.
all right.
So, 2013 February, Bradley and Hernandez went to Miami together.
Okay.
I don't think they talk a lot about this in the documentary, but
I don't recall it.
they had like a really up and down friendship, especially after that murder happened, because Hernandez and him weren't identified necessarily as like suspects right away.
But-
People of interest,
Yeah.
but not like suspects. So
Yeah.
that case took a lot longer to round up back to before they could solidify like evidence, intent, whatever. So they got together. They're in Miami. They're not having a great time together. They get into a fight. I guess at one point Hernandez is like threatening Bradley in a car at gunpoint.
Oh, okay.
And then the next day, Bradley wakes up in a parking lot with a bullet in his head, and he ends up losing his eye.
Oh, okay. This sounds familiar. I feel like that was at least touched on, right?
It was, but it wasn't like a focus of it at all,
Okay,
because
yeah.
that's never proven that Hernandez had anything to do with it. But
Right.
like,
But kind of like,
it's like
it wasn't proven, but
I
like,
haven't been around this many shootings. Of people. I just feel like
It's like if a bullet's flying,
Yeah.
it's probably from that guy. Yeah.
so. Yeah, and he lived. The cops found him, but obviously he lived. He went
Right.
on to go take part in his court case.
But yeah, he testified against him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And kind of one of those like, I'm not saying he shot me, but
Yeah, so he actually
that MF shot me.
He refused to cooperate with
Yeah.
the police for that because he wanted to take it on personally. So they say,
Yeah.
allegedly.
Allegedly. Take it out personally.
Yes.
Like,
So
I'll see you on the street.
Yeah, and they were continued to text each other, like threaten each other via text, which I think is hilarious. like if you're trying not to get caught doing anything.
Don't do it by text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never put anything in writing. Like,
Text.
what's wrong with you?
I know. I thought that was hilarious.
There's so many people that send things, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Don't just make a phone call.
He was like, your time is up.
yeah.
MF or whatever the hell they say.
I'll get you next Thursday at 7:35. Be like, I wasn't there at 7:35. I was there at 7:36.
Yeah, like it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. I was like, really? They texted each other, like threatened each other via text?
Well, criminals aren't always the smartest people.
Yeah. So he refused to cooperate with the cops and ended up trying to take Aaron to court, like civil court over it.
Are we getting shot in the face?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's hard to actually go into civil court when there was never any police investigation around it.
In my head, it's hard to go into the civil court when you have a bullet in your face.
Yeah. So a lot of people might not know that, but if you don't have any actual like investigation before going into a civil
It's just he said,
court.
she said kind of.
Yes, exactly. It would help in a case.
Yeah, it's
But,
tough to
you
sue
know,
somebody for shooting you in the
ballistics
face.
and-
And then when the first question is, well, did you file a police report? And you say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, eventually they settled out of court. It doesn't say how much they settled for, but Aaron did end up giving him some sort of settlement outside of court in 2016. So,
Okay.
a few years after fact. There were also incidences with Aaron and his fiance where she had to call the police. They just said he was really drunk and violent, and she was scared, so she called the police. And I think it's one thing to be said too, like if you're in a relationship like that, how bad of a night it has to be for you to call the cops. Because most people in a relationship like that, like it needs to be very bad for you to call the cops.
Because
It's probably happening a lot.
exactly. So
And you're not calling the
You're
cops.
used to drunken violence,
Yeah.
and at some point you're like, oh crap,
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
tonight's the night I'm
yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Excuse me, I had to take a sip. So, so now it's going on to his next or death event,
Yeah.
right? So it's Odin Lloyd.
Alleged event.
No, this one is not alleged.
Oh, this is okay.
This one actually, this is the murder of Odin Lloyd. And Odin Lloyd was only 28 at the time of his death, and he was found with 7 gunshot wounds.
Oh, that's not like a.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, and I forgot.
That's angry gun
I
violence.
forgot to mention the 2 victims before there were like 5, or yeah, no, I said there were 5 shots
Yeah.
fired from Aaron's car. I mean, someone's car.
someone's car.
Yeah.
That Aaron might have been in.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
he's totally in the car.
and it was found in an industrial park that was a mile away from Hernandez's house in South Attleboro or North Attleboro. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry to the people in South Attleboro.
Yeah. I meant north, which I think it's so funny he lived in North Attleboro.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. It's so random.
Well, yeah, but remember he works in Foxborough.
I know.
So, I mean,
I know it's
are.
right there.
Yeah.
Commutable.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, yeah, a lot of the people I work with in Easton
Yeah.
work and they'll live in Attleboro
house
because
is
it's the next
pretty-
town over. And his town
pretty
house was
sweet.
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
I think I was more surprised to see that his house was in North Attleboro than he. Like,
Yeah.
It was a dope house.
It fell into extreme disrepair.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was on June 17th, 2013. And Odin Lloyd is originally from St. Croix.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Antigua, but moved to Dorchester with his family when he was younger. And he played semi-pro football and was dating Aaron Hernandez's fiance's sister.
Right.
So it would have been like a semi-brother-in-law
Brother-in-law
kind of
thing. Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
yeah.
Future brother-in-law.
Future brother-in-law.
None of those have gone wrong.
No. And his home, Hernandez's home, was searched the next day. He was immediately the person of interest.
Yeah.
And he assured the Patriots it was like a big mistake. And they ended up cutting him a week before he was officially arrested.
Yeah, I was gonna say they dropped him.
They also,
like
like,
a bad
in
habit.
Patriot Place, exactly 24 hours like after the search of his home, they
Yeah.
got rid of all of his merchandise.
They bought back merchandise, didn't they? Am
Yeah.
I remembering that
Yeah.
correctly? They were like, "Yeah, he's guilty.
Yeah, we'll take. No,
we will
it's cool,
take
guys.
back
We get it."
anything with his name on it." Like, there was no loyalty. They were
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, he's like effed."
Oh my God.
They just separated themselves as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, and I know
When they were buying back merchandise, I'm like, someone knows something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. In the like interviews I saw with like the other Patriots, like here's an interview with Gronk where they were just trying to interview the Patriots. It wasn't that long, like after the Super Bowl or something, and they were like, "So what about Aaron Hernandez?" And he's like, "Next question." He's like, "Okay, what? You're not going to answer anything." And then he walked out of the interview. He's like, "I'm not answering anything."
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it was very much. We're not going to talk about it, but we're going to do everything we can to separate ourselves from it.
Yeah. So June 26, 2013, he was charged with first-degree murder of Odin Lloyd, as well as, like, I think a few gun charges, too.
Yeah. But I feel like the gun charges are
Yeah, like, whatever. Yeah.
That is window dressing
Yeah.
for the horrible thing you did.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the court case was tense. Like,
It
it
was-
was like, well televised.
It was the... and it's hard to say because we live here,
Yeah.
but it was like O.J. Simpson level.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
But I can't tell if that was just
No, so...
here or if that was
At
everywhere.
one point in the documentary, this is so messed up. Someone goes, like, this has never happened before. A famous football player has never.
never brutally murdered a not blonde woman.
I was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. I'm
Because
like, we've seen this before.
Under
Yeah.
the eyes of the law,
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson is actually.
Technically.
He didn't do it.
Criminally, no. Civilly, yes.
Civilly,
Civilly, yes,
Civilly,
but criminally, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So they really can't, like, whatever.
And you know what? I was very much a person being like, you know what? You're innocent until proven guilty. You know, you have to give him benefit of doubt. And he's like, put out a book called If I Did It. I'm like, nope. F that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't do it.
Like, come on.
I was trying to be on your side, and now I'm done now.
Look, he's tirelessly looking for the real killer on every golf course in America.
Oh
So,
my God, I know.
But Aaron is a different story.
Different story. Yeah. And on April 15th, 2015, he was found guilty, even though there was really no clear motive. That was like the big thing. And this was the case where they danced around the idea of possibly bringing up his closeted sexual identity.
Yeah.
And saying that maybe Odin found out about it and that's why he lashed out at him. And he was sentenced to life with no chance of parole.
Yep.
He also was found guilty of the 5 gun charges. Just
But whatever.
for anyone
Yeah.
who cares. And he
appealed.
did.
And then what happened? Dun, dun, dun.
So
I kind of know this part of the story.
they did decide not to like even bring up the sexual identity thing, which I think was smart. It just added more noise to it. But to be found guilty without any clear motive is like
Hard.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, that means they got you.
on a lot of
Yeah. There's a lot of evidence
like
there, 'cause-
physical
It's like,
evidence.
we know
Because
you
they
did
don't.
it.
They don't need.
We don't know
you-
why you did it. We don't care why you did
Yeah.
it. But
We don't need to.
we
care.
know you
Yeah.
did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So while that case was happening, that is when like he officially was the main suspect for the murder
Of the other two guys.
of the other. Yes, and he
Which is that what tipped him into technically serial killer territory?
yes. So that's the thing they don't talk about. It's never brought up that he's considered a serial
He's
killer.
technically a
and
serial
he's
killer.
technically
Yeah.
very much a serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that at the end because I was excited to talk about it.
You don't have to like wave your hand at me.
Well, no one had to know, Andy. Okay.
Sorry.
Audio medium,
This
Andy.
is what I do. I jump ahead in the notes.
Oh, gosh, every day.
I know things.
So
Just not the order in which Hannah wants you to know them.
I know.
May 15th, 2014, he was indicted on those charges. He was represented by Jose Baez, and he was the attorney that represented Casey Anthony.
Who is
Andy doesn't know who.
for
okay.
our listeners who don't know.
Excuse me?
For our co-hosts who don't
For
know.
our listeners who don't know who Casey Anthony is.
I'm not joking. My heart just sank. I literally was found. I'm speechless. You do not know who Casey Anthony is.
Who's Casey?
She's the chick, the dumb B word from Florida that definitely murdered her 3-year-old daughter, and she got found not guilty, and she's still running around Florida like a hot mess express.
I literally have no idea.
Holy crap! This was like the case of like the century.
Really?
This happened not
This
that
was
long
a
ago.
huge
I literally
thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
it in 2008, 2009, 2000, basically almost just before this actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like he had just
So
finished up.
for our listeners who might not have any idea, because this is about local things, Hannah, not Florida things.
Oh, well, I'm sorry for you not knowing national news.
There's lots of news out there, Hannah.
Jeez,
I've never heard of this person, so I apologize.
that's crazy. Yeah, no,
But for example, I think I'm a relatively well-read kind of
she
person.
was
so-
one of those weirdos that said like, I don't know where she is, and like kept saying like,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that sounds more familiar.
Yeah.
I just don't.
They're
think I
like,
recognize
she's
the
like,
name.
I don't know, and kept changing her story,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
she's
Okay,
like, oh, she
all right,
was sick,
so
and
I
I
just
buried her. Yeah,
I just don't think I knew the name.
yeah,
All right.
Casey Anthony.
Okay.
Trash bag.
All right, I get it. I'm sorry, I didn't like.
Sorry, she definitely
I didn't
did
follow
not.
her
She
on
was-
Instagram. I'm sorry.
I guess I should say
Hashtag I didn't murder my kids. Follow me.
she technically did not. She was found not guilty.
She didn't do it the same way OJ didn't do it.
All right.
Yeah,
Didn't know her name. I
a little
apologize.
upsetting. Anyway, if I wasn't so confident in the amount of other true crime podcasts I heard, like just drag her through the street, it's fine. So, that guy is a great attorney, by the way, because the Casey Anthony case
Clearly,
is like
he's a pretty
insane.
good attorney.
He's really good.
He's
And
probably not cheap either.
no, and he was found not guilty of those.
Of
Right.
the two
Of the two in Dorchester.
of the 5 shots that were fired from the car that wasn't it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that family was obviously like just devastated.
Oh, yeah.
How could you not be? But again,
If I remember correctly, that was kind of like the big argument was like, well, there's shots fired from the car, but you don't know who
Yeah.
fired the shots.
well, and there wasn't any like there wasn't, and nothing was super clear. That's
Yeah.
what they couldn't what is it?
And that's that.
Unreasonable doubt. Or
It's one of
whatever.
those things
Yeah, it
where
was-
that's like the best part and the worst part of that law is where you have to have no reasonable doubt that you didn't commit the murder.
Yeah.
But in the same aspect, you don't have to have a reasonable doubt that you didn't commit the murder. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a very double-edged sword.
Yeah, but it's very much a matter of
A
if you're
double-edged
going.
sword. That's what
yeah,
it said. Yeah.
If you
Stop
want
disagreeing with me to agree with me.
well, stop being wrong and right at the
I
same
am
time.
right, and that's it.
And-
All right, go
No.
on.
So with his arrest, it was also the forfeit of his salary and whatever contract he had signed with the Patriots. So for his 2015 to 2018 or whatever the heck future contracts he had, he forfeited $19.3 million.
Yeah.
I think he had just signed an extension.
Typically, you don't
Yeah.
kill someone and not cost you a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like he was.
it cost him the remaining of his 2013 and 2014 too.
Yeah.
Salary. And then him and Jose Baez moved to appeal his first conviction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when on April 25th, 2017. That's when
Bum, bum, bum.
Hernandez was found dead in his
Yeah.
prison cell by suicide. And he sent out like several letters to people, his fiance's daughter, whatever. He sent them one that said, "You're rich."
So basically,
Yeah.
the idea was if he appealed and committed suicide, they could not find him guilty.
Because
Right.
it would be taking the initial, because it was an appeal, and if he died, it's like stuck in the original state before a court case, which
Right.
is innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly.
Yeah, and because
So-
he's not there to defend himself.
Correct.
As a father, it was the only right decision for him to make.
And in that's a Massachusetts specific
Yeah.
thing too. That's
I
not-
understand, but I'm
yeah.
just saying, like,
No, I know.
As,
Yeah.
as a father, like I don't condone, but I understand his rationale.
Yeah. So to
He's
him,
trying to take care of his daughter.
it made sense.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they were hoping the conviction would be vacated, and it was for a time
Yeah,
until March 13th, 2019.
last year.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, because it's
2 years
2021
ago.
now.
I know
I
we
know.
all-
I don't even know what year it is.
I know we all want to
What day is it?
look, and I know we all want to kind of pretend
Is it
2020
Tuesday?
didn't happen.
Like, yeah.
So a Supreme Court justice reaffirmed his initial conviction.
Oh, so what does that mean?
So he is still technically guilty.
So does those funds that he hoped to go to his daughter not go to her?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's kind of sad. And I mean, it's the whole thing's tragic, but I don't know. I feel that's kind of sad.
So, and then, yeah,
It's not her, because it's not her fault.
he pretty much, the judge, like, worded it in a way, like, he's not here to now fight for his innocence.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going back to what makes the most sense. Technically.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
But again, like, I just look at it from the daughter's standpoint where it's not her fault.
Yeah.
Her dad's a scumbag.
Right. And he does have, like, there's, like, an Aaron Hernandez estate, so, like, you know, his daughter still has
Money.
money. That's not all the money, but his fiance and his daughter did sue the Patriots for they didn't get to go through it with in the court case or like through an actual court case because they missed the deadline for that type of civil suit.
Yeah.
But they sued the Patriots for his death, saying that it was caused by
concussion?
yes,
Oh.
multiple concussions. It's called CTE.
I've heard of that.
Yep. So after his death, they got a hold of his brain
Yep.
and they took.
I like how you did that. Our listeners will never, ever appreciate what you just did there. So Hannah did this. They got hold of his brain, and she did like this little wiggly finger thing, like she had a brain. Like, ma.
And his case is actually one of the most severe cases of CDE that has been reported.
And that was talked about pretty extensively in that documentary. Yeah.
And that's like that science, like that, and BU took it and studied it.
Yeah.
Boston University.
And like he was messed up because his brain was mushy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CTE causes a lot of things. Poor judgment, obviously. Lack of control, clearly.
I got both of those.
Aggression.
Sure.
Anger. Paranoia. Depression.
Okay.
Delinquent behavior. Suicide is also
Not there.
All
right. I'm good.
reaction.
Yeah. It's not the first pro athlete or the last to have
No,
Killed
for
themselves.
sure.
off themselves
For sure.
because their
Yeah.
brains were
Completed
pudding.
suicide. Yeah, sad. It's sad.
And that all goes back to the how much is he's a product of what happened to him, opposed to you have control over what you're doing,
Yeah,
and that's the really tragic part.
Yeah.
is you can't determine he would, if he grew up to be an accountant,
right.
would his life be any different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really tragic.
And I mean, someone who's pushed to like play these sports where you're roughed up so much, like from the time you're a kid on,
Yeah.
like
To this, so say his, charts, he had 9 concussions. He's probably had more like 15.
yeah,
Yeah, and
know?
it's not just concussions.
Right, yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
impact does something to you.
It's very tragic. There's no good answer.
So let's circle back to the serial killer thing.
Okay, so we're gonna circle back to that because
That's what-
is he a serial killer?
I would
Which
say yes.
Hannah really wants to know.
I would say yes. So he hits all the targets. Obviously, we don't.
So this is really the question: what is the definition of a serial killer?
It's someone who kills 3 or more victims
Which he did,
within
Allegedly.
hypothetically.
within a month to a year with like a break in between, or a month, or like there's like a specific like pattern of how they do it,
Check.
and a couple other things. Head trauma is
Check.
a commonality within serial
Check.
killers.
All right.
Abuse growing up,
Check.
and suppressed sexual nature.
That sounds like across the board. Check.
Yeah, I think the last one is like
That seems to be the most questionable one, but wasn't.
but that's one of the things
But
that
even when he was in prison, there was like
Yeah.
a suggestion that he had a lover in prison.
yes, there was.
Yeah.
Yes. And also there's recordings of him from prison, and I've never seen someone go out of their way in my life personally to be more homophobic. Like the stuff he said was awful to
Oh,
his
really?
mom. There's recordings. Yeah.
Okay.
It was terrible. He's like cannot stop bringing up just people existing who are gay or trans or whatever.
So kind of like a You protest
He's
too
protesting
much.
too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Because again, I don't
Yeah.
know that much about it, but wasn't there a letter that he wrote to another gentleman he was incarcerated with?
yes, the guy who it was like claims there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is the commonality of serial killers.
Very check.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think some serial killers are way more planful. That's one of the things that goes into it. Like they plan a lot more, and he was not one of them. So that's why
I think
he's
the
not considered
reason it's
one.
borderline is he killed 3 people, but he didn't
He
like.
was a little impulsive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
killed 3 people. He wasn't like killing somebody and then cooling off. And
He
then
wasn't be
spinning
like
up
they
and
put the
then
lotion in the basket. Yeah.
killing somebody else, and then
But-
like he killed 1, and then he killed 2. Well, he killed 2, and then he killed 1 more.
And
but
he tried
they
to kill
aren't.
another guy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just lived.
Yeah. He
Yeah, but
shot
that
a guy in the
was-
face yeah.
But the Zodiac was also known to be very impulsive and shot a bunch of people like that randomly. It just looked different because it was in like
so
the 1940s.
What you're saying is Aaron Hernandez is a Zodiac killer.
No.
Wait, Aaron Hernandez is Ted Cruz's dad?
Yes. So Hanna says that
I was like, what's happening?
I'm
here?
down for this weird. I'm down for this weird sci-fi.
So yeah, that was a thing like with the Zodiac. Like sometimes he'd just be like, "Oh, I see someone, I'm just gonna do this." Like
Yeah.
I think
I can get away with it. I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you're going to say Silence of the Lamb kind of skewed the way we see a lot of serial killers.
I
Because
feel
we've got a
like-
real
I feel like Aaron-
defined.
Again,
Expectation from
I'm
what they
only
do.
going based on a documentary and what minuscule amount I know about him, but he seemed more
Just hot-headed.
hot-headed. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is the moment. This is what's happening right now, and nothing else.
Yeah, so I think
factors
that's what
into it.
excludes him from it. But I'm like, I kind of
It's
think he
kind of a
was.
serious killer, if you ask
It's-
me.
It's the kind of thing where the definition of serial killer is very restrictive, but just because you fit.
it all boils down to what
doesn't
you
mean you
define
fit.
as a
Yeah.
serial killer.
Yeah.
You know, like is a hot dog a sandwich? How do you define a sandwich?
Hot dog's a taco.
How do you define a sandwich? That's the question.
I don't know, but it was something that got me thinking, and
Yeah.
I was like, I think he might be.
He very well could be.
Yeah. He just didn't get a good run of it.
No, and it's
He's too
tragic.
out in the open.
And this is one of those.
I'm sorry that 3 and almost a 4th isn't enough murder for you.
But this is that perfect. Like it's tragic for him and for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, because he could have had a better life.
The audacity of someone that famous to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But clearly,
Especially
but it's also
in-
one of those like
Like-
that.
like he's famous, but he's also only locally famous.
Hyper-local
Yeah.
famous, yeah.
But it's also one of those like it's clearly because you're so famous, you have not a realistic view of the world.
And like to Fish's point, it's like as far as people identifying him, like everyone's gonna freaking know.
It's like,
who
oh my god, it's
Her-
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. Did he just shoot
Did
a gun?
Shoot a guy? Yeah.
Exactly.
What did you do Friday night? I saw Aaron Hernandez shoot a guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
for
sad.
sure, yeah.
I know. I feel so bad. The families speak out of the victims, and it just is really, really sad. Especially the ones that never got to see
Yeah.
justice
Justice,
served.
yeah.
I mean, to me, the most tragic thing in all of it is his daughter.
Yeah.
She didn't ask for it. She didn't have control over it. She wasn't a part of it. She
The
didn't.
guy was crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
like- but
I don't
but
mean
like-
to lighten that word at all.
But I mean,
or
like
whatever,
even if you are a family of the victim, you can be like, well,
yeah.
you know, he chose that bad life that led him down a path to blah blah.
I think
blah.
it was a lot
Yeah.
of things combined.
Right. That little girl had no choice.
Yeah.
She just got stuck in all of this.
Yeah.
But at
And
the
with a last name Hernandez.
which is at least fairly generic, so it's
Yeah.
not like
It's a little generic, but you know.
I mean it's not like Gronkowski.
no,
like,
but
if
at
your
some
last name
point,
is Gronkowski,
people can do math and be
we
like,
know whose
oh,
kid you are.
I
Yeah.
mean,
If your last name is Hernandez and see you say just move anywhere out of New England, it's probably going to be okay.
Sure.
So just
And I hate saying this, but
But
I
it's just
think
tragic.
she's almost better off that he died when she was so young. Because if he was such a hot mess now, he probably wasn't going to get any better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And-
hypothetical. You don't know
Yeah.
that.
No, but
But
at
I
the
mean,
same time, it's hypothetical. But looking at how his dad basically formed him,
Yeah. But the past doesn't make the future. The point
No.
is, she had no choice in the matter.
No,
I'm just saying, don't
a-
derail my topic.
No.
So I just feel bad because she had no choice in the matter.
And I agree with that. I'm just
leg's
thinking
all
on some kind of morbid level, she might have. I don't want to say lucked out because losing your dad young is absolutely horrible, but at the same time.
So for everyone who wants to write into Fish about how it is to lose your dad,
Oh no! All right. Well, let me round it up a little bit.
For anyone
Okay.
whose dad is a potential serial killer, please write in.
yeah,
I don't even remember what I was going to say about it all.
we derailed
Oh,
it
when
entirely.
when this all happened, right? You go back and think about like when it happened.
Yep.
I was working in Dorchester and I had like no cable or anything, and I heard about it on like NPR a little bit, and the guys at work were like talking about it, and I was like, "Wait, what happened?" And they were like, Aaron Hernandez killed these dudes." So I worked in Dorchester when that happened.
Yeah.
So the kids I worked with, the dudes I worked with, like knew a guy who knew a guy, like that they knew those guys.
Yeah, they're like, that guy right there.
Like they knew the guys
The
that
guy who stood next to me Friday, dead.
yeah, literally.
yeah.
Like it was
get it.
like that was like that was everyone was freaking out. They were like, Aaron Hernandez is coming through here and shooting people.
Killed people I know.
I was like,
Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez, like the football guy? They were like, yeah, the
The guy that
famous
catches the
football
brown thing?
player. I was like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah, he killed these like guys.
I'm not saying Whitey Belcher, but like,
They were,
Whitey
they were
Belcher.
like, it's
Yeah.
like our friends, whoever. Like,
Yeah.
like people knew who they were, and I was like, what? This is crazy. Like, I had to keep asking
This is
them.
why Hanna is our local expert.
I was like,
Because she hangs out with serial killers.
the football player, and they were
Hangs
like,
out
yeah,
with.
the Patriot, the famous.
Yeah, the guy who killed all those people that we know.
He's
That guy.
no, we didn't know him, but they knew the people who died, or in some way, shape, or form, and it was just like very local to me at the time.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I knew. Also, my friend Dan, I think I've told you this, showed up to one of my Halloween parties like not that long after.
As Aaron Hernandez.
Yes, Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, that's rough.
He looked just like him. Honestly. I'll show you a picture.
I'm
Killed
sure it was
4
a night-
people at the party. It was amazing.
No.
Hannah was
He
super
killed
jealous.
one. There were shots fired from his costume at 3 others.
So, yeah, that's how I remember this going down.
It was pretty crazy through the whole thing.
Insane.
Yeah.
The whole thing seemed unreal. I was like, I can't, what? He just shot so many people in public?
Super famous guy. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very hot-headed move.
So I think this part where we stop talking. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or on Instagram at Inebri-art6. You can email us at Inebri-art@yahoo.com. And make sure you listen to the other podcasts on the Inebri-art Podcast Network, including Bar Talk, Old Colony Cast, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror Podcast, and our newest one, Theme Park Legends, a podcast about working at theme parks. What else? And we'll catch you again next time.